Yes, hypocrisy is alive and well amongst these sanctimonious leftists. From Kimmel to De Niro to Stephanopoulos, they want you to believe they're better than you, more virtuous, more decent. But we all know the truth. They lie. They sin. They do the very things they accuse you of and the things they say they would never do. Evil things, like try to destroy people based on feigned outrage from which they spare their own side.
Megyn Kelly just went off on Jimmy Kimmel, and she didn't even have to be in the same room. No face-off, no yelling, just a brutal takedown that's got everyone talking. What did she say that has Kimmel's fans shook and critics cheering? This might be one of the most savage callouts we've seen, and trust me, you're gonna want to see how it all went down.
Back in the day when I was on the primetime of Fox and you were on the primetime of CNN, a couple of hours after our shows ended, late night comics would come on, and they occasionally would make us laugh, Piers. I mean, occasionally they understood that they were in the game of making everyone laugh. As you know, they've abandoned that game now, and they're just political operatives out there. Colbert, Kimmel, Seth Meyer, who I struggle to even mention that guy's name. He's such an absolute prick. I can't stand him.
Megyn Kelly just pulled off something legendary. No cameras, no shouting matches, no awkward talk show face-offs. Just a digital mic drop that tore through Jimmy Kimmel with deadly precision. Armed with sarcasm and surgical timing, she delivered a silent takedown so sharp, it's got the whole internet buzzing.
Very same celebrities who wanted you to believe they were horrified after yours truly said in 2018 that people used to don dark makeup in order to imitate well-known black celebrities and it wasn't a big deal. Absolutely ate up the performance by Hollywood darling Mr. Kimmel, whose blackface costumes included his oft-repeated bit as basketball star Karl Malone.
Now, Karl Malone never seen no flying saucer himself, but if he do, that's gonna be a spooky.
Let's set the scene. Jimmy Kimmel, the late-night king of political jabs, known for roasting politicians and media figures with sharp monologues and punchy zingers. But this time, he didn't even get a chance to clap back. Megyn Kelly did all the talking, and Jimmy was left in stunned silence. Not just any silence, the kind that stings like a swarm of angry bees.
How much it costs to produce Jimmy Kimmel's show? I guarantee you it's tens and tens of millions. It could be as much as 100 million. I have no idea. You know how much Tucker's video cost? Nothing. You know how much Jimmy Kimmel, how many people he gets tuning in on an average night? Just last week, his average was, in the overall, meaning all viewers, 1.5 million. In the key demo, 236,000. Tucker would have been embarrassed to pull that on any night he was on the Fox News channel. That's what they're getting now. Tucker's numbers were 3 times what Jimmy Kimmel gets. And Tucker's little basement video that he did from clearly like his cabin that he broadcasts out of Maine in literally has 21 million views. Okay? 21 million views. Whereas, as I point out, on ABC, a massive network that comes into your home for free that you have to make no effort to find, at best, Jimmy Kimmel can get 1.5 million. He needs to have a little self-perspective before going out there and hurling these insults because he looks a little silly.
So how did Kelly do it? By hitting Kimmel with the one thing he never saw coming. Cold, hard facts, laced with razor-sharp wit and a heavy dose of public accountability. While Kimmel's weapon of choice is the late-night laugh, Kelly came armed with a fact-based roast from afar, one that methodically dismantled the credibility of his usual shtick.
Jimmy Kimmel was very upset that Donald Trump took a shot at Taylor Swift. Trump was making fun of the fact that she got booed openly at the Super Bowl and he got cheered to the high heavens. And Jimmy Kimmel didn't much like that and had the following to say.
Trump was at the game. He got a big thrill because some of the crowd booed Taylor Swift when they put her up on the Jumbotron, which of course made Harry Conman Sr. very happy. He posted 3 times about this. After the game, he wrote, the only one that had a tougher night than the Chiefs was Taylor Swift. She got booed out of the stadium. MAGA is very unforgiving. Well, she didn't get booed out of the stadium. Unlike you, she stayed for the whole game. And it was the Eagles fans who were booing her. But you're right. It's all about you. It's always all. Trump's just jealous of Taylor Swift because she has more followers and more money and no kids than he does.
Okay. By the way, I was there all the way through and she was gone. She was missing in action for most of the second half. So I don't know what he's talking about. Trump left at his previously designated time, which was, I think, 8:02. that had been scheduled, and that is when he left. And it's a little harder, Jimmy, when you're the president of the United States, because if you leave when everybody else is leaving, you completely F them over because no one can move anywhere. It's total gridlock in the city. Hello?
So why did Megyn Kelly even bother? Simple, because Jimmy Kimmel's brand of humor, while loved by many, has a habit of walking a fine line between clever satire and reckless commentary. His late-night digs often blur the line between comedy and character assassination. And Kelly, ever the media watchdog, saw her opening, a chance to call out the hypocrisy, the exaggerations, and those lazy punchlines that masquerade as sharp political insight.
All know what they saw. They saw what we saw. They saw the frail elderly man who needed help getting off the stage. They're just too chicken shit to tell us about it because they accurately deduce that he could still be the Democratic nominee and they don't want to ding him up. Maybe you give Barbara a pass. Who gives a damn what this singer saw or says? But you know what? Jimmy Kimmel happens to be employed by ABC, which happens to have a rather large news organization. And he has been one of President Trump's most vocal critics. Where are you, Jimmy? On vacation? Not good enough. You can still use your thumbs to send out a tweet. You could set the record straight right now, but you won't.
Megyn Kelly didn't just clap back, she dissected. Methodically, she broke down Kimmel's history of jokes and commentary that weren't just snarky, they were often misinformation in disguise. Exaggerations masked as satire. Punchlines that didn't punch up, but down. Picture her at a screen, sifting through clips, transcripts, and social media threads, pulling apart the loose seams of Kimmel's comedy with the precision of a surgeon removing a tumor. This wasn't just a roast, it was an autopsy of a late-night act that had gone off the rails. But the real brilliance? Kelly never needed to throw a single direct insult. No shouting, no name-calling. Just facts, carefully laid out like a series of dominoes. And as each one fell, the polished image of Kimmel's untouchable late-night persona began to crumble. And here's the kicker, the audience noticed. While Kimmel relies on lightning-fast monologues and snappy one-liners, Kelly's slow-burn takedown triggered a viral aftershock. The internet lit up. People were sharing her posts, unpacking her points, and treating the whole thing like a cold silver-plated dish of truth served straight to Kimmel's front door. Intro 7. Why did this indirect attack land so hard? Simple, it caught Jimmy Kimmel completely off guard. There was no chance for him to fire back, crack a joke, or hide behind the safety net of late-night comedy. No rapid-fire monologue, no sarcastic tweet storm. Just silence. And in that silence, Megyn Kelly's critique hit even harder. Her method forced the audience to think. Instead of getting swept up in an emotional back and forth, people were left to sit with the facts. And that's where the real damage was done. Viewers started asking, wait, is there truth to this? Fans began to question. Skeptics felt seen. Even casual observers got pulled into the conversation. The power of a calm, fact-driven takedown is massively underrated, especially in a world where everyone's shouting. When one person steps forward with clarity, composure, and receipts, they become the adult in the room. Kelly didn't rely on sound bites or snappy comebacks. Her points were methodical, direct, and almost impossible to dismiss. It wasn't a tantrum, it was a masterclass in how to deconstruct someone's public persona without ever raising your voice. And perhaps the most unexpected twist? The reaction. Even Kimmel's most loyal fans were invited, not pushed but invited, to step back and really look at the bigger picture. And that's how you start a conversation that sticks.
The Sunday morning show with Stephanopoulos into the evening Academy Awards broadcast with Kimmel, and ABC elevating, the blackface loving Kimmel. They, at the same time, fired Chris Harrison, host of The Bachelor, for trying to defend one contestant on, The Bachelorette for saying, gee, I know I went to this antebellum party, a couple years ago. I guess I didn't see anything wrong with it. And all he said was, are we judging her by today's standards or are we judging her by, old standards, whatever. He was basically trying to say, are we being too hard on her? Got fired. Chris Harrison has to be fired by ABC. I don't know why, because he's not a committed leftist, because he's not out there more saying all the terrible things about Republicans that Jimmy Kimmel says.
The beauty of Megyn Kelly's approach? It didn't just preach to the choir. Instead, it slipped under the radar, worming its way into conversations and debates in ways loud attacks never can. By staying off the stage and out of the spotlight, Kelly avoided all the messy pitfalls of public confrontations, the interruptions, the defensive posturing, the chance for Kimmel to twist words or throw punches back. She stayed untouchable, the perfect tactician who wins without breaking a sweat. There's also strategic brilliance in playing the long game. While late-night hosts thrive on quick wins, rapid-fire jokes and viral clips that trend for a day, Kelly's critique created sustained conversation. Her points had legs. They were shared, analyzed, and debated for days, even weeks. The buzz wasn't a flash in the pan. It was a slow-burning wildfire. In essence, Megyn Kelly transformed what could have been a messy media circus into a polished, surgical strike. By choosing the indirect route, she flipped the script on traditional media battles, proving that sometimes the most powerful takedowns don't need a stage, a mic, or a crowd. They just need facts, patience, and a little savage wit.
Just this past 2 weeks, they had the Kennedy Center honors the other night where Joe Biden couldn't say Dionne Warwick. He kept calling her Diane, and he didn't know who Barry Gibb was. He kept calling him Billy. You know who else was honored? At the Kennedy Center. You know who else? Billy Crystal. Just FYI, do you know who once opened up the Academy Awards in full blackface?
Oh,
Billy
yeah.
Crystal. Billy Crystal. And do you know who's going to be hosting the Academy Awards this year? Jimmy Kimmel. Do you know who's worn blackface repeatedly and spoken inner city sort of urban accent saying she needs to darn those socks? Jimmy Kimmel as Oprah, as a fat-suited, black-faced darn.
And what does Jimmy Kimmel's silence say? Well, it's almost the cherry on top of this roast cake. Without a public response, he basically handed the narrative right over to Megyn Kelly. Whether it's shock, strategic silence, or just not knowing what to say, it's a huge win for Kelly's approach. This silent smackdown is a masterclass in outwitting, outlasting, and outplaying in the age of social media and instant reactions. Megyn Kelly didn't need to dive into a shouting match. She weaponized restraint, evidence, and sharp commentary to deliver a blow that'll be remembered for a long time. Sure, Jimmy Kimmel still has his monologues and late-night laughs, but there's a new sheriff in town. Quiet, clever, and armed with facts. And trust me, she's just getting started. Here's the kicker. Kelly didn't need a microphone or a stage. She harnessed the raw power of her digital platform. A megaphone that echoes across timelines and comment sections with unstoppable momentum. In a world where everyone's shouting to be heard, Megyn Kelly mastered the art of the silent smackdown. She turned the internet's endless hunger for drama, gossip, and spicy takes into her ultimate weapon. Instead of a loud, messy battle, she delivered a cold, calculated, fact-loaded knockout punch that left Jimmy Kimmel's fans blinking in disbelief, scrolling back just to make sure they weren't imagining it.
Last night was the 96th Academy Awards show, and while you might have missed it, there was one clear winner. No, not Oppenheimer. It was sanctimonious leftists for their lead role in pretending they are better than you. Winner number one, Jimmy Kimmel. For the fourth time, Kimmel hosted the Oscars before an adoring crowd of Hollywood stars who laughed and curried favor with the man who wore blackface so many times. Yes, some of the very same celebrities who wanted you to believe they were horrified after yours truly said in 2018 that people used to don dark makeup in order to imitate well-known black celebrities.
Picture this. No flashy lights, no sound effects, just the subtle, devastating force of well-chosen words and razor-sharp observations landing one after another like a perfectly executed game of chess. And in this game, Megyn Kelly was the grandmaster. She didn't slam the board down or flip the table in a fit of rage. No, she quietly moved her pieces with precision, forcing Jimmy Kimmel into checkmate without ever speaking to him directly. This wasn't about clashing swords or theatrical drama. It was strategic brilliance. What made it even more impressive? Her restraint. Kelly kept it classy but brutal. No desperate shouting, no petty name-calling, just a composed, confident dismantling of the facade Kimmel's late-night empire has long presented. Each move was a calculated strike, chipping away at his credibility and exposing cracks in the foundation of his humor. And Kimmel? He was left utterly speechless. The silence from his camp rang louder than any clapback ever could. That silence became its own statement, a deafening echo that said, "I have nothing to say because you just owned me without breaking a sweat." In a world obsessed with noise, Kelly showed that sometimes the most powerful message is the one delivered in whispers, typed out with precision and spread like wildfire by an eager, engaged audience. The absence of response wasn't weakness, it was a testament to the surgical impact of her silent assault. So what was this silent assault made of? A mix of dissecting Kimmel's past monologues and social media rants with the precision of a surgeon. Kelly highlighted patterns, jokes that didn't just try to be edgy but often missed the mark, failed political insights, and moments where humor slipped into outright bias or misinformation. This wasn't just a jab, it was a full-on autopsy. And the public noticed. Kelly's approach resonated because it wasn't about yelling louder, it was about revealing the cracks in the armor of a comedian who sometimes uses humor as a shield to dodge accountability. People love a good roast, But when it's served with facts and style, that's a feast. Meanwhile, Kimmel stayed quiet. No tweets, no retorts, no attempts to salvage his street cred. That silence said more than words ever could. Was it a strategic retreat? A stunned pause? Or just a guy realizing he'd been outplayed without even knowing how? Kelly's takedown also shines a light on how media battles have evolved. It's no longer about who can yell the loudest on TV. The new power move is owning the narrative with calm, calculated critique that spreads like wildfire online. It's proof that wit backed by knowledge will always outlast cheap shots. The aftermath? A buzz in the media world about a new way to fight fire without fire. Kelly showed that you don't have to confront someone face to face to destroy their facade. Sometimes the sharpest cuts come from a keyboard, a clever tweet, or a well-placed article. What does this mean for Kimmel? Well, silence might be golden, but it also means the spotlight shifted. For once, it wasn't about his jokes or punchlines, but about his vulnerability to a well-timed, well-executed verbal knockout. In the end, Megyn Kelly's digital takedown wasn't just a win over Jimmy Kimmel, it was a masterclass in modern media warfare. No shouting. No on-stage battles. Just pure strategy, sarcasm, and undeniable truth. Jimmy might still be the king of late-night laughs, but Megyn just crowned herself queen of the silent roast. So next time you hear someone talk about media feuds, remember this one, because sometimes the loudest destruction happens in complete silence. And trust me, you'll want to watch closely when that silence falls.